Okay, good morning, everyone. I know we've been through quite a lot, and we're almost done. Lunch is coming up soon. But what I want to do today is something a little different. I want to show you something rather than talk to you or tell you too much about it, right? So I'm here on behalf of Intellect Design, and really what I'm going to showcase to you is built on our platform called Purple Fabric. It's an enterprise platform that allows subject matter experts to deploy and manage agents and multi-agent networks for operational transformation, right? That's a little bit about who I am, what we do. And behind that door is your back office, right? Tell me, what do you see behind that door? I see you nodding. What is behind your door to your back office?
Heaps and heaps of papers and multiple screens, monitors, and people logging 12 hours a day.
There you go. Yes. So a lot of documentation. Everything is unstructured. Any other ideas for what is behind that door? Anybody else wants to share? No? Well, I'll tell you what the back office is for me, right? Behind that door is really just a teenager's bedroom. It's essential. It's full of potential, but it is a glorious mess, right? And if you don't get it into control, it seeps out everywhere and controls everything. It's a big headache, and you never know where that smell is coming from, right? So you really need to go and figure it out at the end of the day. And it's not a nice to have. A high-functioning back office is essential, right? Because it's the backbone of your customer satisfaction, risk management, and discovering all of these untapped opportunities that are right under your nose. And I know how messy all of your back offices are. The reason is we've been in the game for the last 30 years. We're publicly listed. We work with a lot of you already who are in the room, right? So our products actually support your liquidity, lending, underwriting, cards, trade finance, advisory businesses, and a lot more. So we know your products, the messes that are back there, and the pain that the employees are having in actually supporting and propping up your back offices and running those processes. You have outdated systems, manual processes, tech is pieced together like patchwork quilt, and you have that dark, dingy corner with the urgent exceptions and the compliance rules, right? So we understand that is the environment in which a massive amount of data is pouring in every day, much of which is unstructured in emails, PDF documents, your process documents, policy documents, regulatory reports. How do you actually take all of that and leverage it for intelligent decision-making to get your clients the best products that they need, right? To get the pricing right, identify fraud. AI has been the golden goose kind of savior we've been hearing, it seems like, for about the last decade. And I'm here to tell you that it actually is a golden goose today, provided you have the right use cases, right? So we've been working on transformational use cases on the operational space. We've been investigating complaints, which is a very complicated process. I'm not going to go into this too much because this is a case study, and I'll show you a demo later. But we've taken this back office process, moved it from 5 weeks to 20 minutes, right? We're working with one of the largest sovereign national wealth funds in the world. They have over $1 trillion in assets under management. And what we're doing is running their entire non-financial insights risk and reporting strategy. So for the 9,000 companies in their portfolio, we look at the 10 million plus documents that they've published online and figure out what are those biodiversity, human rights, sustainability-related opportunities and risks that actually impacts their portfolio management strategy. And we've been doing this across advice, loans, payment operations, trade finance. When it comes to AI, what's important is having the right use cases. We've been doing this for 30 years. We know the right use cases. We know your pain points, right? The previous slide was what we've done. This is our roadmap. across different financial service verticals where we're going to be propping up expert agents to agent teams to actually solve your operational challenges. So if any of these look interesting, if you have anything else on your mind, just come talk to us later, and we'll talk about it. What is different today? Why is AI really helping us, right? And it's because AI has evolved. It's evolved from being a specialized technical tool that's something I and many of us can use as non-technical people. And I know there's some technical people in here, but for somebody like me who has a major in economics and film, AI is revolutionary. I can do so many things I couldn't do before. It's able to actually allow me to tap into expertise that I did not have before, right? It can reason, it can solve problems, it can adapt to different contexts. And I know most of you know what an agent is. I'm not going to go into the anatomy of an agent, but what is most amazing to me is that agents can communicate with us, right? In plain English, in natural language. We can instruct them to do things, and they can collaborate. So not only am I talking to an assistant, a chat window, like most of us are used to, but if you give agents a task, they have the ability to say, hey, look, I actually don't have all of the expertise I need, but that agent has a specialized skill set or access to a tool that can solve this problem, right? And I will actually leverage that agent's help to do this. So a single agent itself is powerful, but where it gets very powerful and can transform your operations is when you use them together in a multi-agent system. To explain this, I want to use all of our favorite coaches, Ted Lasso. Think of your operational space or your back office as a soccer pitch or football for the two people who are from Europe. That is your opponents. Think about it as all of your different data streams flowing in. One of those is Lionel Messi, right? The urgent exception that has come in that you need to deal with right away. And what would you do? You could have the best player in the world, but if you pit one player against an entire team, that player is going to lose. Because that player does not have all of the skills necessary and is going to get overwhelmed with all of what's happening to actually do the task that it needs to and win the game. What about if you put on 11 goalkeepers? You have the bodies, but they don't have the right skills to actually deal with the opposing team, right? So if you have forwards, midfielders, defenders, they're going to run through all of the goalkeepers and get to your goal. Effectively, there's going to be one player that will be doing most of the work. The rest will just be around. Now, if you have the right set of players on your side, forwards, if you have midfielders, if you have defenders, they're all working together as a team to solve your problem. So all of them, all of your agents have specialized skills and tools that they can use to solve complicated operational transformation problems. And the goal is to win together, right? And what this means is that each of these agents works in a network and can communicate with each other depending on what's happening in the pitch or what's happening in your operations at the time. They know that the goalkeeper is really good at saving. If they're under pressure, you can kick it back to the goalkeeper. If you're up ahead, you need to get it to the striker so that they can score. And all these agents know each other's skills, know when to use each other based on what's happening in the game. The network is a highly dynamic team structure with no fixed communication paths that allows for real-time adaptability. However, in operations, if you're doing underwriting, do you want this to happen? If you have an agent that's specialized in gathering data, you don't want to see it in front of goal, deciding, you know what, today's my day to do the underwriting with just a little piece of information I had. In enterprise, we often want more control. And just like how we as humans can set up teams to solve different types of challenges, so can we set up agents to solve different types of challenges. The second structure is a supervisor structure, where you have a main supervisor that guides decisions based on set conditions. This is much more efficient. So it ensures controllability, predictability, and scalability, where if you have a network that is of 20 or 30 specialist agents, they will most likely get confused at some point. Agents will start doing things that they don't want to. Supervisors can actually keep them in check. The supervisor model can also be expanded to a hierarchical structure, right? So this is really good for large-scale systems, providing layered control and enabling nuanced workflows. So best used to manage where you need layers of control for diverse agent groups. And then you also have real custom structures. You can really create deterministic pathways to intelligence. So you can arrange them in any configuration you want and make sure that one goes to the next. So these are just some of the different ways agent teams can be created for you, right? And now I want to get into an actual demo so that you can see what an agent team in action that we have in production today looks like. This is a multi-agent solution for complaints investigation and redressal. But AI is all about the use case. So I just want to set the context of why this is a big problem before we get into the solution. So in the UK, consumer duty regulations have changed last year, which means that clients to wealth advisory companies are able to retroactively create complaints for services that they've received in the past that has not been up to quality. So Close Brothers, St. James's Place, Lloyd's have all set aside over $500 million just to pay back the claims that are coming to them and address the complaints that are coming to them, right? And how big of a problem is this? Well, it takes 5 weeks to solve a complaint. And what this means is that for every 700 complaints that are coming in every week, our client is able to solve 130. So each week, the number of complaints actually increases by about 600. Very big headache. Only 28% of claims were able to be solved within the SLA timelines, which means that even if you double your claims or complaints handling team, it means that it would not cover all of the cases within the stipulated timelines. And why does it take 5 weeks to investigate a complaint, right? The first reason is that there's no standardized rubric. There could be many types of complaints. Is it for poor service? Is it for bad advice, which would be a type of mis-selling? Different types of complaints require different data from different systems and different investigation pathways, right? And we connect to tens of different systems, many of which are single sources of truth. Not only that, but different regulations and policies apply to different complaints. Also, with respect to when those complaints were made. So if a complaint was made, if an original policy or product was sold in 2015 versus another one in 2020, the regulations and internal policies that apply to the complaint from 2015 actually would be very different that apply to the policy or the product from 2020. All of these really small nuances need to be taken into consideration when determining whether a complaint holds or not. And what are the types of data that we actually look at, that our agents have to read to try and understand a complaint and to figure out if it holds or if it's rejected? Of course, you have your structured databases, your CRM systems, your policy admin systems, but many times there's also unstructured data, the first of which is the complaint letter itself. So if I play this, you can see that it comes from a legal firm, you have a name, you have the complaint body. And your agents need to be intelligent enough to read through this to understand what class of complaint is this? What are they complaining about? And once you go forward, you can actually see that there's more documents. So just a moment. This is a confidential financial review. And this has all of the notes that an advisor has taken and prepared in a semi-structured way to go into the actual product recommendation that then goes to a client. So this has information about the person, the client, their spouse or partners, family history, financial details, health information, and also all of the unstructured information about their priorities based on the discussion that the client has. But my favorite one to look at is actually this one. This is a client transaction record that goes all the way from 2013 to 2021, talking about every single interaction that a financial advisor had with a client. And this is worse than any doctor's note I've ever received, right? It's so hard to make out what's going on over here, and our AI can actually understand that. So moving forward, I've told you that there's a multi-agent team sitting and addressing these complaints, right? And this is how that team is structured. I showed you some images of different ways you can structure multi-agent teams, and this is one of them. You have a supervisory agent, the complaints manager, that intercepts a complaint, and then it decides intelligently what it needs to do to solve the complaints based on the ecosystem of agents that are working for it. So you have an agent that extracts the relevant details from complaints, an agent that logs that complaints in your complaints management system, an agent that verifies that complaint. So is there a signature present in the complaint? Is there a letter of authority? Does the date of birth, client name, et cetera, match with what we have on records? And then you have an agent that looks at all of that and classifies what type of complaint it is. Once you know the type or types of complaints, the evidence gathering agents kick into gear, and they connect to your policy admin systems, to your CRM systems, and more to actually pull that data, right? Once you have the relevant data, the complaints investigation agents then figure out, according to regulations, according to your own internal processes, according to the consumer duty guidelines, does that complaint hold or not, and gives a recommendation with all of the evidence in tow, which then goes to human in the loop. And I told you that I would actually talk more about this now. From 5 weeks that it took humans to do this, our multi-agent system is able to do this in 20 minutes, right? So not only is it operational efficiency, but the customer satisfaction is unmeasurable. Customers are actually getting responses to the complaints that they're writing in so much quicker, rather than waiting for months and months and months not knowing what happened to it. And that relationship is very, very important to financial advisors and wealth management organizations. This is what the agent looks like. And this is a conversational window. I do want to stress that our agents actually are published to an API and live within the systems that our client uses, in this case, Salesforce. But for demonstration, I'm showing you what happens behind the scenes in a conversational window format. So all I ask it to do is investigate the complaint. And what you can see is that the complaint manager is calling the different agents, as you saw the structure before, to process the complaint, right? So extract the details, verify if this complaint is appropriate and right, classify the complaint, search client details from iBusiness, which is their CRM system, the plan search, advice search, figure out then what we need to investigate. And there's 2 investigations that are going to happen. So there's a partner advice investigation and a partner service investigation, because there was actually 2 complaint classes that were identified in the complaint letter, right? I'm getting this answer. And it'll just scroll up, and I'll just walk you through how it's structured. So what I can see is I have all of the information I need. The classification agent has told me that it is twofold, right? So there's 2 complaints: inappropriate product transfer and poor partner service. So that's what I need to respond to. If I scroll further down, I can see the complaint investigation and results. So inappropriate product transfer, the complaint has been rejected because John Kroc agreed that the recommended managed funds portfolio met his objectives, and he's willing to accept higher ongoing charges. That was present in the unstructured notes that a financial advisor had taken while meeting with the clients. So the evidence was actually gathered, and we found a way to refute this portion of the claim, or the complaint, sorry. And if I move further forward from there, for the additional portion, you can see that for partner service, the complaint was that the client essentially didn't meet me enough. The advisor did not meet me enough. And what our agent did was figure out every single time that the client and advisor met and rejected the complaint because they met within a period of 12 months. How do I actually know that the complaint is, or the evidence is grounded in reality and the agents are not hallucinating? We have a feature called citations, where for every single reason and decision and action that an agent takes, it points you back to the data exactly where it got the insights. And not only the document, but where in the document. You get the chunk on the left side as well. So if you go through, you can see that the part where it got the information there was highlighted. And this is the other document, so including, if I move to the next one, this is a confidential financial review, which I showed you a structure of as well before we actually kicked into the demo of the agent. So if I move forward, there's one more feature. This shows you data source lineage. Where is the data coming from? But when you have multiple agents collaborating with each other, how do you know that they're working correctly? We have a feature called traces that maps out the entire interaction, between the agents and the agentic and in the structure, right? So I can click through and I can see that each agent is thinking of what it needs to do. This agent is at the stage where it needs to verify the complaint, and it's asked the complaint verification agent to actually take this data and use it for complaint verification. And if I just let this play, you can see as I click through, the verification will come back, the verification was successful, and as I click through, each agent is figuring out what it needs to do next, what tools it needs to use next, which agent it needs to call next, and it's going through that entire team structure that I showed you before so that it can actually investigate the complaint and redress it and get an answer, right? So you can see that some of this is also in JSON format based on if we're hitting structured systems at the back end, what we're extracting as well. So this is just a look at how this works under the hood. The next question that always pops up is, how is this built, right? How do you get these agents to do what you want them to do? And this is, if I just move forward, how that looks. This is a peek into the back end of the Purple Fabric platform. I'm searching for our complaints manager agent. And if I go in, you can see that everything is in English. I can choose a type of prompt template. I'm not going to go into exactly what these are right now. I can choose the brain, which model I want to use. We're completely model agnostic. And the system instructions are in English. You can actually see that it's asking you to, or asking the agent to, extract, log, and verify the complaint, perform complaint classification, gather data for the client, investigate the complaint, and use the reporting agent to generate the final report, right? These are the tasks that need to be carried out, and the tools and agents that are available are just attached as actions. Each agent has an API endpoint, so you can actually connect agents to each other, and you can even connect agents to your own system if you want the outputs to be flowing into your own system. So it's a very, very simple process for subject matter experts who understand the problem, who understand the data that's required to solve the problem, to actually sit and instruct the agents on what to do once they have access to the data. And how do we actually go from POC to production? This is a real use case that's in production. And we started off really with a pilot where we looked at a limited set of data documents. We had some information from the client. And what we found was some agents are much easier to build than others, right? So extracting the right details from a complaint letter, because a complaint letter is quite unified, we were at over 90% accuracy from the get-go, even at the pilot stage. Same for verification, understanding if there's a signature, comparing to your databases at the back end to make sure that certain fields match. All very, very easy for agents to do in real time. Classification understanding what this complaint is took a little bit longer because as we went through this process with the client, we discovered the different types of complaints there were. So we had to work on prompt engineering along with their subject matter experts to figure out how do we make sure we capture complaints appropriately so that they can be investigated later. So we started the pilot. When we did the pilot, we were at about 62% of accuracy, but we're above 90% now. And the evidence gathering agents were quite similar. We started at 75% during the pilot. We moved up for similar reasons. There's just a lot of evidence. We need to make sure we're gathering the right things to investigate the right details. And you really understand it the more you work with the subject matter experts and the more you fail. So that's how we progress there. And once you have the right the evidence gathering agent, the investigation and report writing was quite easy, as it turns out. It's all about making sure you have the right data in place so that the agents are able to do the job that you need them to do. So the data problem and making sure you have the right data and understanding the data in the correct way is the most challenging thing over here. What's very impressive and important to note is this is a big team of agents, right? They're all working together. However, the verification agent, as soon as that went live in pilot, we discovered that we could reject 5% of complaints right there and then because the complaint letters did not have a signature. So even before the entire system was up and running, one single agent in the team was giving ROI and real value because he could just say, nope, I'm not going to investigate this. It doesn't have all the details, so I don't need to do anything about it. And how do you take this and take it one step bigger? All of those agents can be repurposed by different functions, by different personas for the problems that they need to solve. Now that we have a complaints investigation agent or team of agents running, the evidence gathering agent is actually able to do a different task. So the risk team came to us and said, hey, look, you're already investigating these complaints, and we're expecting more to come because of the change in consumer duty regulations. Can we use the same evidence gathering agent and ask it, which are the people who are likely to complain in the future? And yes, we are. So we're working on that project with the client now to actually understand who is going to be complaining so that the wealth manager can reach out to them proactively and get them not even complaining. And once again, all the way across these agents, you can actually leverage them based on your persona and your function for different use cases, right? The agents are reusable, and not just from a function standpoint, as I told you up above, even from an industry vertical standpoint. So if you have evidence gathering agents, you can use them for different things across industry. If you have a verification agent that needs to understand if there's a signature in a document and to compare it against some databases, you just need to give it the right databases and it will do the job that it does. Think of it as a digital twin to somebody who might be doing that job, right? So the skills are interchangeable between use cases, functions, and even industry verticals in some cases. So how do we do this? How do we get reusability, accountability, and scalability into AI? And how do we do this in a way where we're live in production today? We do it through our platform, which is Purple Fabric. And there's 3 components that you really need to take away when you're trying to build multi-agent systems, right? How do you connect to, transform, and stage your unstructured and structured data so that AI can actually use it? The data problem is actually bigger than the AI problem because the AI can really work efficiently and well if you have the right quality data. The expert agent system, similar to the previous panel, actually provides no-code capabilities that allow you to build agents that assist, augment, and automate operations with multi-agent GenAI systems. So what I showed you as a complaints agent was an augmented solution that allows a complaints handler to have all the information they need to say yes or no. And if they don't agree with the recommendation, they have very little research to do. Autonomous agents really can go end-to-end, right, and plug into your systems and make decisions. And the last layer is governance. when you have so much unstructured data flowing in, when you have all of your teams of agents organized in different structures working together, how do you govern it? How do you make sure the right people have access to the right agents, which have access to the right data? What about the entitlements? Are you able to monitor the agents to make sure that the performance is not degrading over time? That's where PF Govern comes in. That allows you to observe, audit, and protect your multi-agent systems with governance. All of this is, of course, deployed in your own VPC, so your data remains truly yours. It does not go out elsewhere. This is just a quick peek at Purple Fabric, and for the more technical architects amongst you, this is just a little bit of a picture of all of everything that goes into making it happen. So thank you very, very much. I hope that dark and dingy operational door that leads to your back office opens up into a world of possibility. Thanks.